Hello everyone, this is Dr. Irfan Kamuruddin Andani. There is a topic on which viewers wanted me to make a video so that they can have a clear understanding and concept of that topic, and that is about the various bracket prescriptions. On daily basis, I come across so many dental suppliers who bring a new bracket system and try to introduce that this bracket system has Damon prescription and this one has MBT and the other one has Roth, so this is better than the Andrews. And trust me, that thing was really very confusing till I gained a thorough knowledge about the bracket prescriptions. So the purpose of this series is to give you a clear idea about the development of all these bracket types. But before that, we will have to start the journey from the history of fixed orthodontic appliances or braces. So let's begin this journey. Sir Edward Engel in 1887 developed E-arch, which is considered to be the first prototype of fixed orthodontic appliances. The mode of action of the E-arch was expansion of the dental arch, not only in transverse plane but also in antero-posterior plane. You know that to align the teeth you need spaces, and the E-arch gained spaces by expanding and proclining the teeth. Edward Engel used clamped bands on molars. That means molar bands were not luted with any kind of cements, but they were held by friction. The arch wire that was used for expansion was very wider and very stiff, and that had threads at the terminal ends with nuts distal to those threads. That arch wire was welded with the molar bands that resulted in expansion of the dental arch at the level of the molars. What about other teeth? All other teeth were also either banded or directly ligated with the E-arch with the help of ligature wire. Some tubes were also soldered on the lingual surface of those teeth, on the bands of course, which needed rotations. So for the first time, rotations of the teeth were also addressed. To procline the teeth more labially, nuts were used to move this heavy arch wire little bit more labially, and that resulted in expansion or proclination of the anterior teeth. So in this way, alignment of the dentition was achieved. But there were few drawbacks of this appliance. It was totally dependent on the expansion and proclination of the teeth, and you know that the proclination may result in bad periodontal health and relapse afterwards. The movement of the teeth was just tipping, as there wasn't any creation of the movement or couple in this system, and the forces that were exerted on the teeth were interrupted and very heavy. What is interrupted force? In interrupted force system, there is a heavy force on the dentition initially when you activate any appliance. Like in this appliance, ligature wire was activated and the teeth were subjected to a heavy force. But when the tooth has been moved, the force abruptly declines to zero level. So this kind of force is not continuous force, it is interrupted. This led to the development of another appliance which is named as pin and tube appliance. In this appliance, all the teeth were banded with soldered vertical tubes on them, and the arch wire used was again very heavy and stiff. That arch wire used to have soldered pins, and these pins were pushed into the tubes to achieve the desired tooth movement. But at each visit, these pins were adjusted according to the required tooth movement. So resoldering of the pins were required in each visit, which was making this appliance very impractical. Edward Engel and just one of his students mastered this appliance, otherwise it was very difficult to use, and again the wire was very heavy and it was exerting an interrupted force. Therefore, within the span of very few years, ribbon arch was invented. The difference between the earlier prototypes and the ribbon arch was mainly the use of rectangular wire, which was also springy in nature. Again, all the teeth were banded, and the ribbon arch bracket, which had vertical rectangular slot, was soldered on the bands. So it's obvious that the insertion of the arch wire in the ribbon arch was vertical, and the wire was held into the bracket with the help of brass pins. Gold wire was used, and that gold wire had good spring properties. Therefore, the alignment of the dentition was comparatively very efficient. But still, there was no control on the root movement, just like the previous versions. The reason was the poor resilience of the gold wire. In other words, it was unable to spring back to its original shape. Rotation control was also difficult in this appliance, but very soon, within the span of 10 years, the standard edgewise brackets were invented by Edward Engel. And the difference of these brackets from the ribbon arch was the orientation of the bracket slot. The brackets were horizontally oriented, and the dimension of the bracket slot was also a little bit changed. The insertion of the wire was horizontal. This bracket system was comparatively very efficient in all three-dimensional movements of the teeth. But for finishing purpose, it was mandatory to give some finishing bands for an ideal finish. So this appliance, which is known as standard edgewise brackets, was not a straight wire appliance or pre-adjusted appliance. Therefore, the development or evolution of the bracket system continued. And the reason of the development was just one: to make the appliance very users friendly and to minimize the need of wire bending for the finishing purpose. And that resulted in multiple prescriptions of the brackets, starting from the Andrews till MBT today. There are so many prescriptions that you can see on this table, which is given in your textbook. And we will discuss few of these prescriptions in the upcoming presentations. Till then, have a good day.